Okay, howdy, cadre. When last we left the Druid. Oh, where's my maps? I can't. There we go. I've kind of buried them. I don't know why I said maps. I got one map and a list of coordinates, but my coordinate list has descriptions on it. So, where did I leave myself? Whoa. Okay. Slow load. Okay, we're going this way. So, yeah, what? I think we have a two-parter. I'm gonna try and focus on 2 days ago. I went to downtown Ann Arbor to observe a protest. Okay. And yeah, if you've listened to my last 3 Valley videos, or just the last one, I was talking about my Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. Facebook junk. Post office. And then the going down to observe the protest at the courthouse. And yeah, I got flipped off four times that day by 2 different people in total. And yeah, it's just not an usual experience for me. I'm not usually one to engage in conflict. But perhaps that's changing. All right, how are we doing here? This is our path. So Monday. Okay, yeah. From there, I'm going across. What? Across to here and down and over. And then I guess I haven't done this, right? Where? Sorry, I'm still trying to... Okay, this is where I want to be. Wow, maybe I should do some old-fashioned digging first. Oh, I don't need... Alright, I think I just want to go through here. Yeah, I'm in the creative mode, so I don't have to work too hard just to clear a tunnel. Okay, if that's heading that way... Yeah. We got a little ways to go. So, okay. At the Saturday protest, they mentioned another protest occurring downtown. on Monday. And I was pretty much in a mess because between those times I was mainly just watching the news. That didn't help. Yeah, that didn't help either. Reading articles about what was going on. I got to turn at some point. Yeah, I do. Wow, good job. Not worried about the coal. I'll probably make this bigger at some point. But for now, what we've accomplished is getting... I guess this is kind of our... our grand entrance here. It kind of squirrels around the edges up high, and here we have a nice view of, let's see, 1, 2, kind of three ravines, and there's others one off in the corners, and then this is going to travel down that way, and I guess level this way. So okay, so yeah, I had been a redhead yelled at me that I was a cop, and I just the irony of that. But again, she didn't know. But I had gone down on a whim. This is a recap, and was dressed pretty much looking like a cop. I mean, kind of brown pants, cargo pants. I wouldn't say that's particularly police-like, but blue shirt. It kind of looked like I was trying to blend in with a general crowd, but it was not a general crowd. Almost everybody was wearing, well, 80% were wearing black, like black t-shirts. There's a mix of blue jeans and stuff, of course, but a lot of people had BLM shirts on or just were wearing black. But it was interesting that you could kind of see the more Antifa crowd, that they're not an organization, but they do have a common set of tactics that they're sharing. Okay, then I want to go over? Yeah, I want to go over, so I don't think I want to go down that far. And I saw a few hippies in there and families, like I said, that would dress normal or pretty casual. And it was a good, in Ann Arbor, it was a good mix of a good diversity of races, ages, economic levels. I think there's a lot of affluent people in Ann Arbor that are professors and other professionals, doctors, and there's a good hospital with the U of M, and there's some private ones on the edges. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that iron. This seems too close. Anyways, good mix, but certainly a lot of African Americans there who We kind of have a little cousin of a city called Ypsilanti that is right next to us. And that protest on Saturday was in what's called Pittsfield Township, which is pretty much the township between Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor. So the point of all that, I didn't want to look like a cop. I wanted to observe and just be there as another body, kind of silent support. And because of my interaction with the redhead at the first protest, I wanted to be a little bit less involved, less in it. But I also didn't want to look like I was trying to blend in. It's an interesting set of parameters, and what I decided on was my unicorn jumpsuit. Which I ended up feeling was about perfect, maybe a little bit warm. It's a thin fleece and a light color, but it's still fleece. And, long sleeve jumpsuit. But I look cute in it, and non-threatening, non-violent. Kawaii. So yeah, and it ended up working out pretty well. A lot of people did actually just kind of dismiss me. Part of my point was it's got rainbows on the cuffs and cuff bands, and the horn on my hoodie is rainbow. So it was a way to celebrate diversity, the multicolor theme. It's also Gay Pride Month, which I wasn't even thinking of at the time, but that also relates to diversity. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I wonder how many people just assumed I was LGBTQ and/or plus. Alright, does this go through? There's something that goes through, right? I didn't know. It's just up. Okay, it just is the lake? The grotto? Yeah, the grotto. Yeah. So yeah, the other thing I accomplished, I mean, really the two main things, I looked a lot less like an undercover cop, and I really didn't look like Antifa. And it even accomplished me kind of appearing to support the cause. I mean, just by being present and having the kind of diversity aspect going for it, multicolor, which is part of why I bought the suit anyways, is the whole multiverse spectrum dimensional seer thing. Didn't do this one, and I haven't come back here. Yeah, I think I was going to leave that alone. So yeah, and I was surprised. I got a lot of thumbs up, compliments, including I was surprised there were some like big, manly black men that were like, "Oh, that's cute," or whatever. "Oh, I like that." Which you know, in retrospect, uh, it doesn't affect them what I'm wearing, and just for them to acknowledge it. Actually, one guy, as he was walking towards me, I had my hood down because I wasn't there yet, near the diag where the protest started. I'm already jumping ahead of myself, but okay, this is where I want to be. Yeah. All right. Yeah, whatever. Now. Yeah, I did a lot of walking before I got to the. Yeah, I might as well just keep going every other. Did a lot of walking before I even got to the protest. So, oh, but yeah, this one guy walking towards me. Actually, that may have been on my way to the protest, anyways. But it was later. Anyways, time skips. It's fine. We'll get there eventually. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, "A pony?" I think that's the first thing he said as he was approaching me. And it was obvious he was quizzical, doubting himself. You know, kind of what am I looking at sort of thing. But there wasn't any judgment or admonition in his voice. He was just, yeah, I don't need to go. Yeah, we're trying to go down. But yeah, I had my hood down, so to better explain the suit, I pulled it up quick, and he's like, "A unicorn! Unicorn spotting!" or whatever. It was pretty cool. I mean, it made me feel good, welcomed, like my choice in attire was accomplishing what I wanted it to. Okay, did we? Yeah, I think it's, yeah, it's coming back down. So anyways, I've got to back up. My main purpose was to observe. And as I said, I decided I didn't want to get as involved. I didn't want to do... I mean, I hadn't done any shouting the previous time, but I did throw up some peace signs. And I decided this time I was going to participate even less visibly, other than being, you know, a Caucasian in a unicorn suit that was present to listen. I didn't want to draw. I mean, yeah, there's all sorts of ironies here, which is fine, contradictions, but I didn't want to draw undue attention to myself or appear to be uncomfortable, nervous, paranoid, whatever, which I may have been a little bit of some of that because of being called the cop at the last one. So that was my primary goal. I also had some other things I wanted to, watch out for, potential, um, quests of opportunity. Well, I guess we're trying to go this way. Whoop. And where's this go? This is a shortcut. So, okay, yeah. No, dead end. What? Why? Why did I do that? I don't know. So, okay. Other things I want to accomplish. I headed down early. And this was actually kind of a personal mission that I felt was kind of a duty. Again, I wasn't going to actively participate in the protest. No one asked me to be there. No one told me to be there. Certainly wasn't working at the time. As I said, I mainly wanted to observe. But there was one thing I had seen on social media that really concerned me. And this is partly due to feeling kind of like I was an infiltrator. I mean, it being made to feel like I was an outsider and an infiltrator. The first time the first one I observed on a whim. I don't want to mess this up too much, but I guess part of our goal is to widen the whole thing. Yeah, that's probably enough. And this we can deal with by hand, maybe. Not using my map, but I'm trying to focus on my story, and I don't know if it's going well. Okay, here's another place that we have not blown up. Much at all. I think we're in the west. Alright, let's check the ends here. So, okay. The thing that freaked me out is I'm well aware of the idea of agent provocateurs. People, and just to kind of back up and recap, I've had some because of one of my jobs, I've been to some training with law enforcement and fire departments. I work in I have two jobs, but my first job, the one I had first, and the one that is more my primary job, is in fire investigation. I work in the private sector, but we often work with firefighters or fire investigators. which sometimes are on fire departments and sometimes are private fire investigators. I'm getting too into this, and I didn't intend to. Anyways, I've been to some Homeland Security symposiums, like conferences, and so I've learned quite a bit about the threats they face. Okay, that doesn't go anywhere. What the executive branch's primary concerns are in terms of public safety and... Okay, that is the wrong direction. So, and I've learned about left-wing extremists, right-wing extremists, and really there's a third group that they're quite concerned about. Ever since Columbine, it's gotten more and more. A lot of the school shootings are not necessarily politically motivated, and so the third category they talked about were incels, involuntary celibates, usually male high school students, or at least, males from the mid-teens to, we'll say mid-20s. And I say they can have a political lean, but often that's not the primary motivation. They're seeking to kind of prove their manhood. They may be, I forget this is down here. They may be guys who don't, are more shy around girls, or feel like losers, or what? I remember putting that there. And there's all sorts of terms that float around on social media, and I should have looked those up, but I'm going too slow with this whole story. Anyways, to skip all that, they're motivated by a self-interest in proving themselves primarily, and some of them specifically want to impress girls. They think that if they show themselves as self-motivated, strong, and these often are guys that play the warfare games all the time, and they think that's going to translate into skill with a gun in the real world, which in some ways it does. It especially research has found that it can kind of help you shut your empathy off, that if you spend enough time playing shooters in video games, it gets you into a habit. You get used to focusing on the technical aspects of perception, reaction, aiming, targeting, firing, moving, positioning your body for safety, and all sorts of stuff. And now that it doesn't always directly translate into real world, but some of these guys will get into paintballing, and they may do target practice in their backyards. Is this one? Did I start this? I think I started this because I think I had more lights, or... Alright, I think I should switch to the other side. I'm not sure. That may be what I was doing here. So, alright, I bring that up just because the situation is a lot more complicated than people think. Especially the right-wing people are just blaming the left-wing extremists for the violence that's occurring, or even worse, a lot of them are trying to conflate, kind of follow the mainstream lead and try and conflate or equate the protesters with the rioters, looters, arsonists, etc. And I've spent a lot of time this week trying to argue against that in defense of the Constitution on social media, which just doesn't... where? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, and again, I'm doing that on my own time, just because certainly now that I've taken an oath to defend it, it's been more on my mind. So, and that's my second job, not my first, but to try and get back to the story. Maybe this should be a 3-part, because I'm not even to the protest yet. What I saw on social media that had me worried. Oh, I did want to paint this picture, that the left-wing extremists are more in alignment with the movement. Weaken the police. Some of them want to overthrow capitalism, or the whole country, or other. These are the real extremists. I like this thin. That is the thin one. I want to keep that. I think I want to... Where am I going with this? Yeah, I should get this. Yeah, I should get this. Okay. So they more naturally, they are part of the movement, even though they may be infiltrating it. They blend in. They can easily, their ideals are more in alignment with BLM, and so it's easy for them to join those movements, organizations, whatever, or just show up and not raise too much attention. But then you have other infiltrators, and there may be right-wing extremists acting on their own, whose goal is to just get people angrier or trigger things to try and inspire the cops to be more violent, aggressive, or crack down harder. Like, they may be trying to cause arrests, and that could be to, the main thing is to turn the protests violent or destructive in the hopes of changing the laws overall. And in a way, this all seems like a fight between First Amendment and Second, but of course the Second Amendment people really support the First Amendment when they're the ones talking. And arguably both sides are selective about it. obviously trying to stay fairly neutral in all this and keep any personal politics out of it, at least while I'm there, and certainly because of my second job and guidelines and et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, so what am I missing? I guess I want to do... Yeah, I think I want to kind of run along here. So, but things aren't even just that simple, left and right. As I pointed out, you may have people with personal motivations that aren't even really necessarily political, like the incels. You potentially have agent provocateurs. I guess I already said that. That just want to cause violence for crackdowns or to get martial law or curfews or whatever declared. Then you also may have undercover cops, and you can have good ones that are trying to do surveillance and monitoring and protect civilians, protect the peace. But you might also have some that, have, again, personal motivations that want to hurt somebody or infiltrate the movement, the organizations that are there, look for specific bad actors from amongst the protesters. But then even worse than that, and is like white supremacists or strong nationalists, the by any means necessary folk who may even work in law enforcement or former military, or or a militia, private militias, who may be there hoping to hurt the protesters or damage minority-owned businesses, break windows so that protesters become looters. There's so much going on, and a trend I saw on social media that really frightened me that I had never thought about. People were sharing, I think mainly on Twitter and Instagram, which I'm not very active on, but that stuff trickles into Facebook and Reddit and other things. And all right, I think I'm done placing dynamite for now. Oh yeah, I colored some sheep. So yeah, there's just all this going on. Oh, but the trend is piles of unsecure bricks showing up, overnight or whatever, near important buildings, police stations, city halls, buildings owned by specific people. Anyways, and the theory is these bricks are appearing again so that the more violent among the protesters might pick them up and throw them, either at police or buildings. And it serves both to escalate the violence of the protesters, but also to give the police justification to use more force. to switch to tear gas or rubber bullets or other more extreme measures, or actually arresting protesters, and that shifts the crime numbers and gives them more. Anyways, overall I'm on the side of law and order, and so but I also felt like the protests here in Ann Arbor were going to be peaceful and organized. I didn't think we were going to be a focus of agent provocateurs coming in from out of state or whatever, like I had been reading about in Milwaukee, New York. Of course, I've known that happens in like Portland and Seattle. Anytime there's protests, people come in from the more rural areas because they know that's where the cameras are going to be and there's more attention on them, the higher density. And DC and other places in the East Coast, and Detroit as well. Detroit is pretty active. It's not as big a city as it used to be, but so I just as a free agent wanting to help the general well-being of my community, public safety, etc. And again, I support the Constitution. I thought I would go and look for bricks, look for piles of bricks, see if there was a chance that was actually a thing that might happen here in my hometown. And I didn't really think it was. You could easily see it as my just me being fearful and paranoid with everything I had read recently, which, yeah, that's all justified. But just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. And we've evolved to have a natural instinct for self-preservation and to look out for dangers and stuff. So one of my self-imposed quests was to get there early and try and walk around the area that I thought the march would be and check for any unsecured bricks. And I found, I think, 3 piles of unsecured bricks. They were all near construction sites. As I started walking, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's several roads under construction and a lot of private construction projects, because with the pandemic shutting stuff down for a little while, a lot of them got delayed, but our governor she changed what was deemed essential work. Early on in the pandemic, a lot of stuff was stopped, and including construction work and lawn care and stuff like that. But with spring turning into the start of summer, she opened the lawn care and construction back up, providing those people are using social distancing and proper personal protection equipment. So yeah, I don't know, I'm flying around. Maybe I'll stop and just talk for a bit. Maybe I can speed this story up. Maybe we'll watch the sun. That's right. Well, no, that will be setting before too long. So yeah, several unsecured piles of bricks, but all in construction sites. None very close to where I thought the march would be. But there was one that bothered me because there was a crew working on a tall building. They had not scaffolding, but those like lifts, kind of like window washing lifts. They were way high up working on the top of the building, I think repairing bricks and stuff. But there was an unsecured pile of bricks down in an alley, and I didn't see anybody that was like a security guard or a construction worker that was watching them. Wasn't super visible, but it was only about a block away from the prosecutor's office, which was mentioned as a place they were going to walk to. In fact, that was the only place I had heard of, and it was only after I was there for a while and had a snack that I realized they might be starting at the Diag, and I headed back there. So, and I did see a fourth pile of bricks, but it was on a flatbed truck, and people were unloading construction supplies. So those, at least, while being unloaded, it looked like a reputable construction crew, obviously, and they were right there where the work was going on. I guess I'm flying around again. This tree seems nice. Yeah, this tree. So, yeah, and I had taken photos or short videos of these because I thought that way it's documented. I'm not going to share it with anybody unless I see there's an issue. I can show where, whatever. Being overly paranoid, and but part of it's because I document things for my work, so I was just going along with that. And even here with YouTube, I used to have a real mentality of like documenting, recording my thoughts in life and stuff, or at least aspects of it. So, but these I wasn't intending to share. I didn't want to be engaged in political activity, really. And I thought it might appear that way if I was filming the protest and putting it on my channel. So, what am I at? An hour? Not quite. Maybe I can get through this in just a little bit. No, probably not. Well, I got through the bricks. So one of my intentions was, if I saw a pile of bricks that wasn't near construction, that was unsecured and looked rather suspicious, like it was a plant, I was thinking I'd just sit on it. If it was right outside the prosecutor's office, I'd just sit on it and try and secure it myself. And if anybody approached, I'd just say, "Stay back, these aren't your bricks," or whatever. It would have looked really silly because I was in my unicorn suit. That's a rather magical creature to be securing construction supplies, but I didn't need to do any of that because, as it turns out, the march didn't go near any bricks. Nobody was looking to be violent. Also, because of all of the protests and violence, property damage that was occurring in bigger cities, they had shut down the prosecutor's office for a few days. And of course, this is also at the time of the pandemic, so I mean, it's kind of going on in the background. So it's not surprising that a public office would just be closed, and a lot of people aren't going out because of the governor's orders. Anyways, so yeah, didn't have to worry about bricks, and I stopped worrying about bricks at that point and headed to the Diag. Where I figured the protest was starting, and it was. Insert catchphrase here.